Yeah, Coach, what will it mean, the absence of Devon Diablo to the defense and how you try to replace his activity?
Yeah, it's going to be a kind of replace him by committee a little bit, because as we all know, he's very unique in the fact that he is, from an athletic profile standpoint, he's very DB-ish. From a size standpoint, he's very linebacker-ish. So we're going to replace him with that, with some DBs at times, and we'll replace him with some linebackers at times. We're fortunate that we have a J.D. Bertrand here that is insanely intelligent, understands our scheme at the highest level, so he's going to get a great opportunity to play some more, and then there's some other guys too that are going to step in and do some of what Devine does.
But I thought I saw Hallam's out there getting some run, and this Harrison, Fuller,
it's a combination of all those guys, absolutely. So we're going to give everybody a little bit of Devine's role, and there is a competitive element this week to see who does the best and who deserves the opportunity to play a little bit more.
And would he be in that mix also? I'm just going off of the general.
All those names are absolutely in play right now.
In addition to his football acumen, what did you see from J.D. last game, and what did you, project in his part of the role?
Yeah, he's a very unique player in the fact that he can play Mike, he can play Will, he can play on the line of scrimmage, off the line of scrimmage. Obviously, he can handle the full special team load at the same time. And then go out there and play from an execution standpoint, like virtually flawless in a lot of ways. So we're very fortunate to have a guy like him. He's a backup for us, but definitely starter ability. So he brings a toughness. He brings some anticipatory stuff that's very unique because he sees the game in a unique way, especially from the run game perspective. So, he'll bring an element that we didn't have too. So it'll be exciting to have him play some more. What's that? Remove it. I was trying to get a Coke dealer.
How big a stressor is speed?
What's that?
How big a stressor is speed from your perspective?
A lot of stress.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this team is unique. Obviously, they're without maybe their fastest guy, but Waddle's right there as far as speed is concerned. So is Washington, number 6. So they still have, and A-Chain, obviously. They have ample speed. Yeah, it can be scary because of the way they utilize motions, they create space, and then with that space, the speed increases the space. And then if these guys were to get behind you, it's over with. You don't recover from getting out of position with all three of those players. So Mike McDaniel does an amazing job with the scheme as far as creating the space, creating the matchups, he's going to get his speed on the guys he thinks that you don't have speed. So that's happening. Whether you try to protect your guys or not, they're going to get those matchups at times, and our guys are going to have to play really, really well. We're going to have to be on our stuff this week because, one mistake with these guys and it's an explosive, it's a score. So, we're going to have a great week of prep.
Are there any coaching tools outside of just emphasis to prepare for guys who are really fast, to get your guys used to that angle? You need to understand that angle that worked last week is not going to work against this guy. You need to.
Yeah, I mean, you get as much as you can from your scout team, and we're fortunate we have guys that give us a great look out here and guys that do have speed. So we'll stress them to push our guys as hard as they can. And there's a big part of this of watching the tape and just getting familiar with it and really putting yourself into play. We try to be very deliberate in the way we watch tape, and it's not just watching players. It's not just casually not dogging fans in any way, but we try to watch it not as a fan, more as a student, and really trying to apply calls and putting myself in the call, putting myself in the play. And if you do that consistently enough, I really believe you get a good feel for the speed. You do, and understand that maybe in my zones I have to drop with a little bit more depth. And when I track as far as a tackler is concerned, my angle has to change a bit. So there's some elements to that. Fortunately too, and I don't know if it helps me much, but I played these guys a lot the last 4 years, obviously twice a year, and very familiar with the speed. Now that I think about it, I don't know if that helps me very much. I know they're fast.
Rico, what was your first impression of Zach Harrison when you arrived here?
Coming out of Ohio State, I had written him up, and for the attack front, which was what we ran exclusively in New York, I had him as a 3-down starter. I had him as a guy that I thought had amazing upside because he's obviously, I mean, you just see him. He's just enormous. He's long. He's got just an amazing body in that way, perfect for that defensive end position in the attack front. And then with the speed, the instinct, the toughness, and all that he showed, I thought he had just an amazing potential in this league. So to finally get my hands on him, it's been really cool to see. All the stuff I thought he had, he absolutely has. He's checked every one of those boxes. Now just getting him more and more familiar with what we're trying to get accomplished here. And I feel like every week he's taking steps and he's getting better and he's getting better, he's getting better. The stuff that's undeniable is his effort, his strain, his finish. It's very uncommon. For a guy that's as big as he is, he runs like a linebacker. So, he had a one against the screen last week that was just amazing, the way that he got there and he got to the red line from an interior position. So, and his superpower too, as I've gotten to know him, is his versatility. He plays 4-eye for us. He's played 3 technique for us. He's lined up at nose at times. He's been a 9 technique. He's played outside linebacker in some ways. So he wears a lot of hats. He does.
All those things you mentioned, is he almost kind of the prototype, would you say, for that attack front for what you wanted to do here?
Yeah, because he's long, he's fast, he's violent, he's tough, and he plays really, really hard. You check those boxes, and you're an amazing candidate.
Following up on what you said about your familiarity with this Miami team, what do you see from Tua this year? Anything that you noticed that maybe has contributed to the turnovers being an issue there?
I still see the same guy that I've been fearful of the last 4 years. He's maybe one of the best rhythm throwers in the NFL still to date. It's coaching as well. His synchronized feet with the routes and the concept is it's elite. When the back foot hits, the ball's coming out. And when you get the ball out like that to players, as we've already mentioned, with the speed that they have, that can be explosive, that can be scary. So, again, like I've said, we got to have our best week of prep.
Mike McDaniel, he came from the Shanahan tree, but how much correlation do you see between those two offenses and generally what they run?
There's some familiar concepts that are universal to that tree of coaching. Mike is definitely branched off. I think from a run game perspective, he's got a lot of motion, a lot of formation variety. He's got a lot of different personnel groupings. So he does a lot of stuff. He's very, very creative. And that's not saying Kyle isn't, because Kyle has amazing creativity too, and he knows how to exploit matchups and he understands angles in the run game, and he knows how to really take advantage of certain fronts and certain leverages and certain ways that we play defense. I really believe the evolution of his passing game is what really was different, and that wasn't necessarily, I don't think, just what he wanted to do. I think it was more he was building an offense to feature the players that he had. When you have a guy like Tyreek and Waddle, you got to do some creative things to get him in space, get him free, and take advantage of all that speed that they have. So from a passing game perspective, it's a little different. Concepts might be very similar. The presentation, the motions, the formation's a little different.
From that end, it seemed like San Francisco was able to get a little bit of momentum there on the ground.
Yep, they did.
Are you expecting something kind of similar? Maybe?
Yeah, without a doubt. They're one of the other few teams in this league now that still plays 21 personnel on a consistent basis. So, when you play the San Franciscos of the world, it's like, I remember back when I was playing, I'd come in on Tuesdays and I'd sort the first and second down, and it would be always 21 personnel was the number one grouping. Well, that doesn't exist anymore. I remember when I was coaching in college at UCLA, like half the guys didn't know what a fullback was. It's like, who's that guy that's lining up in front of the running back? But Miami's one of those teams, that has not only a fullback but a good fullback and a guy that is similar to Juice in the fact that he's got versatility. Obviously, he can do all the fullback stuff, the blocking stuff, and lead for the run game. But he also can do some stuff in the passing game because he's got a little bit more athleticism than the traditional fullback. But you can bet that they're going to copy and paste some of the concepts that got the better of us on Sunday night.
How true is the notion that a team's offense is the best way to help the same team's run defense?
There's some truth to that, but at the same time, like, this defense does not buy that at all, as far as I'm concerned. It's like this has to be on our shoulders. We didn't do a good enough job, and that's coaching, that's playing. Collectively, we could have done a better job. I could have put them in better positions at times with calls, and we could have played it better at times. So, as much as maybe there's some truth to that, this defense doesn't use that as an out by any means.
AD talked in the locker room a bit afterwards about most yards and how those added up so quickly.
Yep.
What's the key to stopping those? It's
population to the ball. Like, you can never let your brother tackle a man by himself, because they're coming to the party. You got to come to the party, and you got to push it. That the goal line play, that's one that will be seared into my brain. I'm sure it's seared into the brain of a lot of guys in that locker room. That can never happen on our watch ever again. When one man stops them, that's where the ball carrier ends. That's where the yardage ends. And that wasn't the case on Sunday night, so we got to do a better job.
When it came to the 10 men on the field in that final drive,
Yep.
What happened?
It was a communication error. I'll take full responsibility for it. Can happen, especially in critical moments like that. Can never happen, but especially on the drive that essentially, that 10 men on the play, not that 11th man would have helped because the ball was out with such rhythm, but when you look at that play, you stop them as you should on a 3rd and 13. They kick a field goal, we're down by 6. Our offense gets the ball, we get an opportunity to win the game. So we all take pride, players and coaches collectively, on the defensive side of the ball, to give our offense that opportunity to win the game for us. We didn't do it, so we got to be better in those moments.
How much of the Dolphins copy and pasting, how much of your week every week is spent reviewing the things that hurt you previously and quote unquote fixing them or addressing them?
Right.
Because the next guy or the next 2 or 3 guys are gonna.
Right. Absolutely. So I designate a CEO of every area of football from our defensive staff. So some guys have a 4-down run game. Some guys have a 5-down run game. Some guys have play pass. Sometimes just every single little subcategory, someone is the CEO that presents. Before they ever present what our opponent does, ever, we always go back and see what has hit us, in that area, whether 4-down runs, whether play pass, whether keepers, whether the drop back, change downs, or whatever it is, So we always we understand it is a copycat league, and I know that's a common term and people understand that, but it's a real thing, So knowing what they're watching is probably just as critical sometimes as watching what they do, So, and you always got to make sure any error, like, in my opinion, that's from a coaching perspective, that's a fireable offense if you have a repeated error. You're getting hit in the same way on a consistent basis. So you always got to fix that stuff before you ever dive into the next opponent.
Yeah, Coach, what are the traits for HN? See the yards and catching it, and but you face them a lot. What are his superpowers?
The perimeter run game and the screen game, and that's just getting him in space. And like I've already said, like the E is, when you give him space, if you don't track him correctly, if you don't set edges, if you don't pursue him collectively as a defense, he has finish power, and he's a guy that can, he can take something real short, and take it all the way. So you got to corral him. You got to understand how they feature him when he's in the game. Exactly like the majors, the stuff that can really hurt you, and like I said, the perimeter run game and the screen game, we're gonna have to be all over this game.
Yeah, Coach, for German TV, in about 2 weeks you play a game in Germany. How excited are you to coach in front of an international audience, and what does it mean for you and the team, and how excited can Berlin be to host a NFL game?
That feels like a year away, but now that you mention it, like it's exciting, an opportunity to, I've never been there, for me and for this entire team to get an opportunity to see Germany, to me that's an exciting thing in itself, and then the opportunity to really show another part of the world our brand of football and why we love it so much, why it's so important to us, and hopefully we can share that same love of that game to the international community and get a few people there to start falling in love with it too. But I'm excited about it. I am.
Is Ulbrich German?
It is, yeah.
So you got a little heritage?
I do, a little bit.
Have you been there before, though?
I have not, no. So I look forward to it, without a doubt.
Anything else? All right.
All right, thank you guys. Thank you guys.